Alright, hello, and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and things have gotten pretty wild of late, as I'm sure you are well aware. We had Binance in a position where they were possibly going to have more than 80% of the global crypto market share if the FTX deal went ahead. Of course, as per yesterday's video, I said it's likely that CZ is going to pull out, it's going to walk away from the deal, and that is exactly what's happened. So I'm sure you probably know this by now. I'm not going to spend much time on FTX because I'm sure you'll be well aware of all of this. A couple of things I did want to point out though is there's a lot of fear that perhaps this is going to morph into much more of like a contagion event like the Terra Luna spill. Apparently there are rumors like Genesis are insolvent and KuCoin could be insolvent, so this is just rumors. As always, just take your crypto off exchanges, okay? Not your keys, not your coins. I'm not going to preach any more than that. If you were burnt by FTX, know this, that there are a lot smarter people than us that were also burnt significantly by this. So you could put your tinfoil hat on and say perhaps the WEF had something to do with this. Perhaps their game plan all along was to just destroy all this value, make a bunch of retail poor, and then come in and buy the whole thing up and control it pennies on the dollar. That remains to be seen. That is my speculation. And admittedly, that's mad even for me. Let's keep going. Look, Galaxy Digital had $78 million of cash exposure and digital assets with FTX. They've currently got around half of that being withdrawn. But just know that, look, Mike Novogratz, okay, so first it was Luna, okay, he got the thing tattooed on him, poor guy. He's getting burnt by FTX too. So, you know, take it as you can. Try to stay calm. Try not to be emotional about this. We're all just trying to make sense of this. Nobody really knows. Remember that. No one really knows what's going to happen. The lows could well be in. Maybe they're not. That remains to be seen. We have CPI coming in today. So that really will be pivotal for markets. I've got some inflation data to show you in a bit. Let's just keep going, okay? Look, SBF, you probably know this by now as well, but just in case you don't, he has been involved in some criminal activity. So he knew all along and was trying to get retail to buy the tokens for weeks. So this is not a good look for him, of course. I had been pointing out since May of this year that he's been spoofing the order books, and there's a really good thread here which I'd recommend you read if you haven't already. Ultimately, everyone buys Bitcoin at the price they deserve, with the capital they have left after non-Bitcoin misadventures. It's time to abandon alt speculation and buy and cold store Bitcoin, okay? This is a proven strategy. It's really the only proven strategy in the crypto space, okay? Yeah, there have been booms and busts. People have made 1000x and then lost it or whatever. But one thing is very consistent, okay? Bitcoin doesn't get hacked. Bitcoin doesn't collapse. Bitcoin doesn't go to zero, okay? Bitcoin is very reliably in a 4-year cycle, which admittedly may be changing shape, but it hasn't changed shape yet, okay? It's been the most reliable, most predictable crypto of all. The point I really want to make out of this whole FTX saga, because I'm sure, like I said, you already are well aware of it, there probably is some silver lining, okay? We're likely going to see these exchanges start to publish proof of reserves, okay? Is this the silver lining that we're going to see? Because it's not just BitMEX, okay? We're also seeing exchanges like OKX, KuCoin, Poloniex, and Huobi, all talking about doing proof of reserves. There's others I've seen as well, okay? So perhaps this is the silver lining. Perhaps we're going to move forward from here and no longer be in a place where they can pretend like they've got everything backed, but really it's all leveraged and betting on things and being used to collateralize loans that they're never going to pay back, or that they don't have any underlying value and therefore shouldn't be used as collateral. Maybe there's a silver lining here, okay? We're also seeing things like this. Look, a spot Bitcoin ETF fixes this. Fixes what? Stopping FTX withdrawals. Okay, and it does. Having a much more deep and liquid ETF that trades over the regulated exchanges would make it much easier for people to get exposure and then take their money out when they need to. Ultimately, remember, you can trust no one in this space. Remember, you must hold and bear the ultimate bearer asset yourself. Hold your own keys. Get yourself a cold wallet. There's a link in the description to every single one of my videos, just to show you how untrustworthy the entire world has become and has always been, frankly. I've got this little 30-second clip to play you here.
Be a little bit of the crank in the room following Brianna there. Stay off social media, people. If you're trying to figure out, are there really issues with votings? Trust your local officials. Trust us here. Trust a news source that you know and trust to be honest about this. They're doing their jobs and they're doing it right.
Okay.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Trust your local officials. Trust us here. Trust a news source that you know and trust.
So you really cannot trust anyone at all, okay? Not your keys, not your coins. Let's keep going. Remember, Show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. This is something I've been saying a lot lately, okay? And also, I've said this a bunch of times before as well. Every dip has its narrative, okay? We knew this was coming. Granted, we were not expecting the depth of this dip. At least I wasn't. I know some of you have been championing 12K or lower for some time, okay? I personally was not expecting us to sweep this lows. I thought these lows were in. But every major dip has its narrative. This one here was the Terra Luna blow up, okay? Now, we knew this 60-day cycle low, we knew this one was coming, and we knew this one was coming. And if we come and have a look here, okay, I drew this box. For ages, it was denoted right in the middle as a vertical line, wasn't it? Okay, if you've been watching the channel, you'll know that was a perfect day 60, and we said it would be plus or minus 6 days of this. We've known this was coming all along. And guess what? We know that wherever this swing forms, it may already be in as well, by the way. We know that walking forward roughly 60 days to the 8th of January, there's going to be another 60-day cycle low. In fact, I'll mark this now so we can call this ahead of time. This is the beauty of cycles. We know there's going to be a big dip or a pullback or a cycle low form around this date here. Okay, there's a good chance this is already in. I want to show you something as well. I posted this on Twitter. Look, crypto crash. This is no surprise to my viewers. If this is your first time to this channel, welcome. Okay, if it's not, then you're well aware. I was calling for this cycle low for ages. You will be well aware of it, okay? We've been working on this Bitcoin cycle low right at this moment as we speak. It may well be in. Remember, these 60-day cycle lows, plus or minus 6%, plus or minus 6 days, 10%, 80% of these cycle lows form inside of this window. Said another way, there's an 80% chance that's it. 80% of the time, the low forms inside of this box. Okay, there's only a 20% chance that it's going to bleed down a little bit lower before we get the swing. There's an 80% chance that's it. This is pretty good odds, right? We are working on this Bitcoin cycle low right now. There's a good chance it's in. It was called weeks ahead of time with an accuracy of plus or minus 6 days. And it also seems to be coinciding with a Wyckoff spring. Now, we have not confirmed this spring yet. To confirm this spring, we need to get back above the low created back here, which is at roughly 17,600 US dollars. Okay, so to confirm this spring, we need to get back above this blue line. But if we can get back above this blue line, this spring becomes in play. We can waddle up here and then start to break out. And this will be a textbook Wyckoff accumulation. Does that mean we can't go lower in the short term? No, of course it doesn't. There's a 20% chance the low's not in yet. But I like these odds. Okay, I'm a little bit surprised we swept the lows, but you have to keep going. I also want to show you, actually, let's just quickly breeze through a few charts because things aren't as bad as they look, okay? Ethereum, look at this, okay? Seems pretty bad, but it's still above its lows, okay? Relatively strong compared to Bitcoin, which of course has swept its low. Also, you'll see this dotted line here that connects the highs, the highs, the highs. Look, it's just come right in for a perfect retest, okay? Not the end of the world just yet. If I go to MATIC as well, okay? Breakout, retest. Okay, not the end of the world. And Doge is not a coin I've ever owned or will ever own. I can't stand this coin. It annoys me that it sucks up so much liquidity that frankly Bitcoin deserves. But when you go to a log scale and reset the chart, what you'll notice is look at this giant downward sloping resistance line connecting all of these highs. Okay, and what has with price just done? Breakout, retest, now looking to resume off. Okay, it's not the end of the world. I know it feels like it, but technically speaking, we haven't had too much of concern. The thing that's most concerning is that Bitcoin cycle low swept this low, okay? Swept the low from back here. That's like the most concerning things. The alts are doing relatively well, which is kind of strange, okay? But if this can morph into a spring, particularly if CPI, which is coming out today, can be cold instead of hot, said another way, if CPI is lower than last month, and particularly if it's significantly lower, then I expect this spring to recover pretty rapidly. Okay, and all these people that have sold out here waiting for 12, 14K, they're never going to get it. Now, that does not mean they can't get it. I have been wrong so far. I thought this low would hold, and it hasn't. But that does not mean that we're guaranteed to go to 14 or 12 or 10K. Every dip has its narrative, remember. If you're finding value here so far, I just ask you to like and subscribe. Appreciate it a lot so that we can build a nice family ready for this bull market, which, by the way, is very, very close now. Whether we go down lower or not in the short term, this bull market is very, very, very close. You can see here the 4-year cycle at its finest, okay? All bottoms in the south of this diagram, 1, 2, 3. We're right around the time when it's time to start a new 4-year cycle. We also happen to be 2 standard deviations, okay? The green line is 2 standard deviations below, 1 standard deviation, mean, 1 standard deviation above, 2 standard deviations above, okay? You can see that Historically, this was always a good time to sell at this upper band, okay? And this is historically oversold down here, okay? This is not the time to be selling. Adoption's continuing, okay? Twitter has filed paperwork to enter the payments business. So again, this is something else I called on this channel. I said, look for this to happen. In fact, I've got a whole thing about Elon Musk and Twitter, so you go and watch that if you're interested. I showed this chart the other day and it was looking rather like this, okay? Since then, we have capitulated lower and we have morphed much more into a 2015 double bottom style event. This time around, we of course had the Terra Luna collapse and then FTX. In 2015, we had the double bottom, which was first the Bitstamp hack, followed by the XT fork. Historically, when this indicator tops, okay, Bitcoin goes on a massive, massive bull run. Look at it here, roll over. Look at it here, roll over. And what happens to Bitcoin price? It turns up. What are we doing right now? We're rolling over, okay, as the Bitcoin price is about to turn up. Here we are, overlaid with the 2015 bottom, okay? You can see this here, big one, big liquidity trap, which turns into be like a Wyckoff spring, and then we go. This is exactly what's happening now. Now, that doesn't mean to say we couldn't go lower, but we haven't gone lower yet, okay? It only takes a CPI print below last month's to tell the market that inflation is indeed cooling off and the Fed raising rates is indeed working, and we're going to see everything melt up. Remember, we're continuing to see stronger fundamentals than ever before as well, okay? There's 1.5 million Brazilians holding Bitcoin and crypto. We've also seen the likes of BlackRock partner with Coinbase. We've seen Fidelity start to offer this to their trillions of dollars worth of clients. We have seen, the list goes on and on and on, okay? We're holding it in pension funds now, all sorts. This thing is not going away at all. Remember, there's a possibility as well we'll get a Republican sweep, which will be incredibly bullish for markets as far as I can tell. Speaking of this, I just saw this. This is kind of out of context, okay? I'll admit, this is sort of a tangent. I didn't know how to include this in today without interrupting the flow. So I have got to interrupt the flow here. But I needed to show you this because if you haven't seen this, this blew my mind. My jaw hit the floor, okay? I'm not even sure if I can say this word, but this was on the ballot for voters in 5 US states, okay? So I come over here and you can see prohibit this thing I'm not allowed to talk about in this, okay? They voted yes, okay, great. But then you click through these, and in Tennessee, they want to remove the constitutional language allowing this thing as punishment. And those people are voting yes. What? And then again, remove constitutional language allowing that thing as punishment. And this is in favor, apparently. So if this wasn't Great Reset, you'll own nothing and be happy. I don't know. I don't know what is. What is this world? What is this life? Please just opt out. Buy Bitcoin, buy gold, buy silver. Okay, we're running out of time. Back to Bitcoin. Look, the Bank of Russia has proposed tax incentives for long-term holders of Bitcoin and crypto. Okay, the Bank of Russia. This is enormous. We've also seen El Salvador adopt the Bitcoin standard as legal tender. They've done that. Mexico are working on it. Switzerland are working on it. This thing's not going away. Okay, and keep in mind, if you're here, if you're still here, if you've made it this far in the video, okay, even if you bought the top and you're holding on and you feel like you want to die because you held it all the way from 69,420 down to wherever we are now, 16k, okay, pat yourself on the back because you're still here, you're still working on building knowledge, you're still working on gaining understanding, you're still working on monitoring the markets, gaining different opinions from different people. This is the hard part. This is how you earn your stripes, okay? Only people that go through this, if you walk away, if you quit now, then you're guaranteed to be got by the Great Reset, okay? You're guaranteed to be owning nothing and being happy. That's the only way out of this, okay? It's Bitcoin and freedom, or it's CBDCs and entrapment. In the election cycle, which is of course where we are, look how the S&P performs, okay? This is exactly as expected. We've started what could be the melt up. Okay, no one thought this was possible. No one. But the stocks are looking quite constructive. Okay, if I quickly just hop into some stock charts, here's the S&P. We kind of swept the low like we possibly just did with Bitcoin, and now we're working on breakout, retest, resumption, and new cycle. Admittedly, it doesn't look too strong, but all it will take is a cold CPI print, and this thing's going to be melting up. The same is true of the NASDAQ. The Dow, again, still holding this trend line, aren't we? Look, wick. This is a higher high and now a higher low. Again, it doesn't look super constructive for now. It could certainly roll over, break down. It could certainly waddle around and break out. This remains to be seen. We need to see that CPI print, but it's not over yet. A move up and it's game over for the puts. Remember, this level was last seen in March 2020. The equity put call ratio has spiked again to all-time highs. There's so many people that are available to be fuel for a short squeeze that It's never been seen in history. If CPI, remember, follows M2 stock, the money supply, risk on is not going to hold back. You better fasten your seatbelts. M2 has fallen off a cliff, look, in black. And now we're just waiting for CPI. It always follows, with a lag, admittedly. But look at this. This is where we're expecting it to go. And believe me, if it does, then the technicals, which are hinting at us that it's more bullish than people think, these are going to explode too. Look, just observe the technical setup. Right up against it. Could this roll over? Of course it could. But could it break out? It certainly could. We've also got bullish divergence on the RSI oscillator. This is when the oscillator makes a higher low whilst price is making a lower low. That reminds me, this is also present on Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure. If I add an indicator, I'm not an indicators guy. I'm not a fan of indicators because they're derived from price, right? And I just want price. But look at this. If I draw a trend line from here to here, you'll see, even though we have made a lower low and this looks and feels like the end of the world for Bitcoin, okay, we have also, relative to this low, we've made a lower low here and a higher low on the RSI. This is bullish divergence, okay? Massive bullish divergence. Just like we're seeing in the equities, this is a sign of trend exhaustion. We haven't confirmed yet, but I don't think we're too far away either. All eyes on CPI. Remember, the medium-term risk reward is unbelievable in this market. Such a low risk level has never been seen in the entire history of this indicator. Again, the equity put to call ratio 1.3. So the highest since 2008. It's even higher than March of 2020. Every single bull is hedged. Okay, and every bear is all in. This is the most one-sided the market has ever been. The two most important charts at the moment are the dollar, okay? I've been saying that we were going to do something like this. We're going to get a reaction off here, waddle up here, and then have a chance at breaking down. It looks like instead we've bounced up here. We're potentially going to do something like this and then have a chance at breaking down. So that remains to be seen for now. A hot CPI print will send this probably all the way up to the top of the range and breaking out. But the data suggests that that's not what we're going to see. At the same time, look at this. I keep doing this. If you've been watching the channel, you'll know for a while, right? I keep grabbing this thing here. I keep pulling it down and saying, is this what we're going to do? Well, so far, that is indeed what we're going to do. So we could also grab this and potentially be a bit stricter. Maybe we're just about hanging on. Again, it all comes down to CPI. But if these yields break down, okay, if these yields break down and the dollar can get rejected at resistance, then you better believe risk is going to come on. This whole Bitcoin thing is going to turn into a V-shaped recovery. The Dow is going to break out of this and be targeting new highs, and the majority of the market is going to be left wondering how on earth all of this has unfolded the way it has. So it hasn't happened yet, but we must be flexible and unbiased. Of course, if we get a hot CPI print, this is going to get rejected, the dollar's going to be bid, and we're going to have to be flipping short nice and quickly because things are going to get ugly. If you found value here today, I'd appreciate it if you could drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're not already, turn the notifications on if you want to see me make any modifications to my positions or continue to scale into these Bitcoin related equities, Bitcoin and crypto related equities. I'm going to be looking to buy the swing, just looking for a bit of confirmation. If we get a low CPI print, I'm going to be long and strong across the board, so I'll make sure I update you on any of that. Be safe out there. I hope you're doing well in life. And in the meantime, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.